Here's my truth. My name is Chris, and I was addicted to having affairs. In my first marriage, I spent years having relationships outside of my marriage,
Mercy.
whether it was physical or emotional. And I was in a very dark place. I was delusional. I ended up blowing up my family. I lost my marriage. And now I only get to have my children every other week. But I want to tell everybody that you can change. You can find redemption within your marriage. Because of Jesus, I found truth, I found reality, and I'm here to help save other marriages. My goal is to help women see that they do not have to be stuck and they don't have to live the lie. And I'm a walking testament that being that I was addicted to having affairs, addicted to
Mercy.
the attention of other men while I was married. I'm somebody that can tell you you can heal, you can change, and you can find the truth in who you are and have a good marriage. So if you're walking in infidelity, if you're going outside of your marriage to have a relationship with another man, please reach out to me. I would love to talk with you, and I would love to help you and walk through this with you.
All right. Yeah. I don't even have to read these comments to know that this woman is getting viciously attacked in the comments down below. Addicted to affairs is crazy. That is crazy. Addicted to affairs. Listen, I'm not perfect. No one is. And I've always said this, whether it's been Brittany Renner, yes, Brittany Renner, whether it's been B. Simone, I've always said at the end of the day, and this is what I truly believe, and people like to disagree, and that's okay. I think anybody can learn from their mistakes. I think people are not as forgiving as God. I think God can forgive anybody, truly. Um, and so when a man cheats or a woman cheats or somebody does something and they say, you know what, I've learned, I've improved, I look at that and I say, that's good. But I've always been shocked at the willingness of people to go through that and then get online and share that with the public. You know, this reminds me of another video. It was a couple, a husband and a wife, and at some point I had to come to the terms that not everyone's like me. And I remember him saying my wife cheated on me and I forgave her. And now they pretty much, that's what they talk. You guys probably remember that couple. That's like their thing now. And every time he gets on camera, that's like the foundation of what they talk about. My wife cheated on me. At that moment, I had to realize, hey, some people are willing to get online and maybe that does help out somebody else. I wonder how that husband is doing. Probably not that good. Addicted to affairs is a crazy statement. Let's check out a few of these comments, see what the people have to say. Top comment here reads, and this is why you don't pick up women in church. They are wolves in sheep's clothing, fellas. Don't fall for it. And then she responded and says, I'm sorry you feel that way. I was in a very dark place and praise God every day that I found freedom through him. Yeah. You know what's really interesting? Consequences come and they never look like the consequences that you'd expect. Let me give you guys an example. I was thinking of the Diddy and Cassie case, right? You can look at somebody like Cassie and think, at one point, women used to look at her and think, wow, look at her. She has everything. She's got the $1 billion man. She doesn't have to worry about bills. And they probably knew her personally and said, that's a crazy chick. Maybe wasn't the best person. Or someone like Diddy, not knowing that eventually, sometimes the consequence is the public shaming, exposing of your past and what you've been through. Maybe she looks at this like, hey, people are going to talk mess in the comment section. I probably deserve this because did I think twice when I was out there having affair after affair? I mean, when she says addicted, that makes me think there were several affairs being had. I don't know. Somebody else who says, you ain't changed, you got caught. And she responded back and says, you're right, I did. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you for making sure I didn't forget that part of my story. Here's somebody else who says TikTok needs a laugh react button. Another person who says, I'm sorry, but you deserve to be reminded. You don't get to cut the legs off someone and they say, oh, I now found Jesus. I'm forgiven. Here's somebody else who says, you're so beautiful, so happy you changed, so proud of you, never too late. You are very brave. Thank you for sharing your story. Somebody else who says, women with dark past typically turn to religion in their 30s. My mom did the same thing instead of admitting she was wrong and asking for forgiveness. Somebody else who says religion and asking for forgiveness go hand in hand. Here's another person who says, I think you've misunderstood. I get what he's saying. There is a difference. There is a very huge difference. And I've seen this as someone who grows in the church. And I'm not going to gaslight people. And I don't like it when people who identify as religious do this. I know people in the church who they don't go and have the difficult conversations with the people who they should have them with because they believe, well, I'm saved now, so that doesn't matter. Jesus accepts me. And in some way, that is a cop-out. That's how I feel about it. Now, I'm not saying you should live life the way I see it, but I've seen this many, many times. They won't go admit that they were wrong. They won't go say, hey, I did this. I'm sorry. You are right. I messed up. But instead, it's like, I don't have to go do all these things, ask for forgiveness, admit that I'm wrong because now I'm saved. Now, if you have truly done that and that's the decision you've made, then you don't have to worry about what other people think of you. Even if there are comments here that may disagree. Now, getting online and sharing that story, you obviously open yourself up to ridicule from other people. This would happen the exact same way. If some dude got on here and said something along the lines of, I was addicted to affairs and having affairs left and right on my wife. I lost it, but now, I've given my heart to God. You would 100% get the slew of comments of women saying, yeah, right. You're a piece of trash. Okay. So on and so forth. So we have a woman here who goes by the name of Gina. She says, I do not think you should give advice to my dog. It is not an addiction. It's a choice. You chose poorly. Love that you have found redemption in the Lord, but for the love of the same Lord, do not give advice to any married women. I've also talked about that. I've also said that I don't get what it is about women like this and them cheating or them going through something traumatic that they decided to deliberately get involved in. They feel like they should now go out and teach other people to do better. My question would be, are you now currently married? Like, I didn't hear that, right? Like, why do you feel like you are an expert now? Somebody else who says, I always wondered what the biggest red flag was. Now I know. Another person who says, this is what accountability looks like, needs to be on my X's for You page. Somebody else who says, might be the first time women ever take accountability. This is progress. Another person who says, somebody else who says, hello from Nashville, and I'm glad things are better for you. God's grace is efficient. It truly is, right? For anybody at all times. There's another person that says, so proud of you for sharing your testimony. I'm happy you have a good co-parenting relationship and an amazing husband who walks alongside you with Jesus. Love you, Chris. Also, she is married and support. All right. Overall, I want to get this main point across. God is able to forgive anybody for anything, whether you are a man or a woman. Now, that doesn't mean that the people in your life are necessarily going to forgive to the extent that God does, but thank God that he forgives no matter what. I personally would be careful about getting online and turning into an expert all of a sudden to give people advice after a situation like this. That's just my stance. Of course, I'm curious to know what you guys think, especially those of you who identify as Christian.
Do you know that roughly 2 million people get married in the U.S. every single year? And out of those 2 million people who get married, 600,000 wish they had this. And what is this? It's a prenuptial agreement. No, a lot of people have never actually seen a prenup in real life. Now, to put that in perspective, we're talking about a football stadium packed with married people who regret not signing a prenup. A part of me does understand why so many future husbands make the mistake of not getting a prenuptial agreement, right? A lot of people think only rich people get prenups, and the process is often very complicated and expensive. In fact, when I got my prenup, I wish I had guidance on how to choose the right attorney, how to avoid costly mistakes, and also just how to walk into a conversation, a legal conversation, feeling confident. That's why I decided to create fathershaverights.com. If you need a prenup but don't know where to start, our step-by-step guide can help. Get the questions every future husband asks answered by expert attorney James Sexton and the lead attorney before you sign your prenup. At fathershaverights.com, we've simplified the entire process for just the cost of a couple of coffee dates. No need to just take my word for it. You can check out hundreds of reviews of husbands who've prepared for their prenups the right way. Don't wait. Timing is everything when it comes to prenups. Hit the link pinned to the top of the comment section and access your prenup guide today, and you get 25% off. All right, guys, that's it. Let's get back into the video.